welcome you to the USA Ultimate US Open Championships. We're in Blaine, Minnesota at the National Sports Center, and it's the women's championship game of the 2018 Open between Boston Brute Squad and San Francisco Fury. These two programs have been marquee cornerstones of the sport. In fact, they've combined to win 10 of the last 12 national titles. Fury has 8 of those 10 titles, but Brute has won 2 of the last 3 years. Would have been a three-peat, but Fury knocked off Brute Squad on Universe Point. And here we go, the 2018 Triple Crown Tour, leg number 1. It's great to be along with Ian Toner. I am Evan Lepler, and these two teams need very little introduction in the world of Ultimate. And the scary thing is they both seem to have gotten better since last year.
Well, they're hungry after last year's national championship game, after coming up short at the World Ultimate Club Championships just a few weeks ago. This is their chance to cement themselves at the top of the women's division as the 2018 regular season gets underway.
There was a quirk at the World Championships. These two powerhouses met in the quarterfinals. Brute Squad prevailed over Fury, but then Boston lost in the semis, so both these teams denied gold or silver. But Boston's looked very good here at the US Open, and each of these teams have added new pieces. We'll talk about Sarah Griffith with Fury in a moment, but what about Jessie Grignon-Thomas coming from Montreal to play with Brute Squad in 2018?
Well, a Team Canada World Games talent has provided just another level of downfield dynamism that this team has capitalized on so far this weekend. Her coaches, her teammates all describe her as just a reliable receiver who always finds a way to make the play in tough spaces downfield.
Grignon-Thomas has made the 5-hour drive down to Boston to practice, now competing with Boston and San Francisco Fury. 10 national championships in their history. The program founded in '97. Fury back on top of the women's ultimate world with a Universe Point win in nationals last year. And they may have added one of the best players in the sport, Sarah Griffith, after a decade with Seattle Riot. This is her first tournament with Fury. I'd say it's gone pretty well so far.
Yeah, she's just 2 weeks removed from catching the winning goal at the World Ultimate Club Championships for Riot. Can't imagine the emotions going through her mind, but she's been one heck of a downfield contributor, using her speed and explosiveness to earn blocks and catch goals.
A lot of people thought Fury was the favorite before they added Griffith. Now that they've got Surge as well, Fury has limitless potential, but Boston Brute Squad has a history of battling Fury to the brink. It's the women's final at the US Open, and it's next. The USA Ultimate US Open Club Championships are presented by Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and ultimate apparel since 2007. Visit Spin Ultimate on the web at spinultimate.com. And by Discraft, the official disc of USA Ultimate, now available at Midwest Meyer stores and over 2,000 retailers nationwide. Take a look at the starting 7. First for Boston Brute Squad, Cammie Groom, Nicole Canning, Chelsea Murphy, Cassie Wong, Werfeli Zhu, and Lee in the handler core for the coach, Ariel Jackson. Nicole Canning, a tremendous performance in the semis this morning against Molly Brown, and Fury was dominant over Scandal, 15-5 to make it to the final. Griffith, Howard, Clancy, Root, and Snyder, the veteran handler, with Johnson and Anna Nazaroff. Maddie Sang, the longtime coach of Fury, but he is not with San Francisco here in Minnesota. So they are primarily player-coached, player-led, and Fury will begin on offense. Juliana Werfeli launches the opening pull. This is the first leg of the Triple Crown Tour of the USA Ultimate Club Series. To win the Triple Crown, you win this tournament, you win the Pro Championships Labor Day weekend, and most importantly, you win the National Championships, which are scheduled for mid-October in San Diego.
And there's that great dump defense that we were talking about. Nicole Canning drawing the Alex Snyder matchup right off the bat.
Alex Snyder, as prolific a thrower as the sport has ever seen, and that's a tall test for a first-year Brute Squad player, Nicole Canning. Clancy's shot finding Griffith in the end zone. Perfectly done over Chelsea Murphy.
Well, that's the downfield strength that Fury was hoping for when they learned about Sarah Griffith joining their team. Stretching the field, and Clancy able to finish.
Such an emotional experience the last couple of weeks have been for Sarah Griffith. She played for Seattle forever. In 2014, Seattle Riot won the World Ultimate Club Championships largely because of Griffith, and then she got injured, missed a full year after tearing her ACL, battled her way back to the top of the sport with Seattle, and now joining San Francisco Fury, relocating to the Bay Area of California. Fury 6-0 so far in this tournament, 5-0 in pool play, and then a 15-5 evisceration of Scandal in the semifinals. Another great player who recently located out to the Bay Area after winning championships elsewhere, Octavia Payne, mentioned how Boston and San Francisco have won 10 of the last 12 national titles in women's ultimate. The other two were won by DC Scandal and Octavia Payne in 2013 and 2014. So there are pedigrees of championships throughout these rosters. A pick called downfield. Unlike in basketball, you can't set screens, so if there's a screen set intentionally or unintentionally, it's called, play stops, the defender's allowed to catch up, and we hopefully resume quickly. JoJo Emerson swings the disc for Amber Sinekrope. This is Becky Malinowski. These black uniforms have been a trademark for this Brute Squad team, representing Boston in the neon yellow. Claudia Tajima was warming up for today's game in a Jaylen Brown jersey, and she throws it away, trying to reset for Sinekrope. First turnover of the game. And Opie Payne fires deep. Floating well, Marika Austin is there! What a shot from Opie, and it's 2-zip San Francisco. Fury could not have asked for a better start. Payne to Austin, 2-0.
Wasting no time, attacking upfield, an inside flick shot to Opie Payne. And you know Opie always wants to shoot deep when the opportunity is there. Not the most traditional deep shot, a more inside-out huck that bladed towards the sideline, but that one worked for the break.
Brute Squad back on offense. Claudia Tajima's throwaway quickly taken advantage of on the last point, this time connecting with Sinekrope and shooting it long for Schwamm. Just shy of the end zone, it's Alana Schwamm for Boston. And Sinekrope with a left hand brings it in for Brute Squad.
Well, the window was small when Sinekrope let that deep shot go, but she took advantage before Awadul Karim could reestablish the force. And on the goal line, Sinekrope just taking advantage of the shifting mark, the dump defender trying to readjust. That's Megan Liu guarding Schwamm there. Liu actually had a stint with Boston Brute Squad before moving out to the Bay and won a national championship with them.
And what Alex Snyder is and has meant to Fury, that's what Amber Sinekrope is for Boston. Both those players in year number 13 with this particular club. So Brute Squad gets on the board, and that's important. And we were wondering coming into this game, Ian, because both these teams played the semifinals this morning. Boston had a hard-fought 15-13 battle with Molly Brown, whereas Fury kind of cruised 15-5. Both these teams have depth, but that disparity in the semifinal has to lead to some kind of difference in endurance tonight, you'd think, as Rudin shoots it deep. Carolyn Finney is there! What a dime, and it's 3-1 Fury.
Well, it's safe to say that the Fury deep game is clicking and on tonight. Clancy to Griffith, Payne to Austin, and now Rudin just putting that on a platter for Carolyn Finney, who's more often known as an aggressive defensive handler. She's making them pay after taking off downfield.
And you wonder if this is the new Fury team, because you think of Fury as a team that grinds out points. Perhaps with the coaches not here, they're taking advantage and having some fun. But you're right, Ian. Carolyn Finney, much more often the thrower, and Maggie Rudin, known for her unbelievable layouts. She's done it on the beach and on the turf throughout her career.
To get back to your point earlier about how fresh these teams are coming into this game, I think Brute Squad's got to realize that when they look back on this weekend, regardless of what happens here in the final, there was a point where they could have taken half quite decisively and quickly, and they let Molly Brown back into the game, giving up a string of breaks before halftime, and that required so much more energy. As you mentioned, you compare that to the route that Fury delivered against Scandal. Such a difference here this late in the tournament on Championship Sunday.
It's a great point. Brute Squad led 7-3. Let Molly Brown tie it up 7-all before taking half 8-7. Becky Malinowski thought about firing deep. Gets the reset to Sinacrope. You have 10 seconds with the disc. The stall count verbalized by the marker defensively. In this self-officiated sport, 4 orange-shirted observers to settle any potential disputes. This is the highest level of women's ultimate you will ever see. Amber Sinacrope for Brute Squad swings it for Claudia Tajima. And by changing the attack angle, she was able to find Becky Malinowski with steps in rhythm in the end zone.
Well, if you're new to the game, if you're a young player, if you're just tuning into Ultimate for the first time, that is textbook fundamental red zone offense. Dumping and swinging the disc. Sure, they may not be gaining that much yardage vertically and getting closer to the end zone, but as they consistently, as you said, Evan, change that point of attack, they force the defense to reposition and open up new windows for their receivers downfield. Very
common strategy in soccer where you see the ball move back and then switching fields. Similar dynamic in Ultimate. And Sinacrope and Tajima, the handlers that Boston rely on most frequently on the O-line to set things up. Malinowski, a frequent striker downfield. Tajima now second on the team in assists behind Sinacrope. They've combined for 30 in the 6+ games in the tournament. One of these teams is going to be 7-0 and still alive for a potential triple crown. There's not a triple crown winner every single year, but last year in the mixed division there was Seattle Mixtape. One here in Minnesota in early August, one Memorial Day weekend out in Seattle for the Pro Championships, and then won the national title down in Florida last October. Fury back on offense. Griffith throws high. Great leaping grab made by Lisa Cooper. Swings it back to Finney, who breaks the mark but through the hands of the intended target, Kirsten Johnson. That's Fury's first turnover and only the second turnover in the game for either team.
And that window was small. That disc had some heat on it. I know Kirsten Johnson will have some high expectations for herself and should expect to make that play.
Tremendous footwork from Cammie Groom near the sideline, getting that first point of contact inbounds. It's okay if your momentum takes you out after the catch, as long as you land in with that first point. Kind of like college football, you just need the 1 foot in. There's a pick downfield as the players make the candelabra signal.
Awesome. One of you guys.
You can tell there's an intensity to this game. Both these teams want to show themselves well, and more importantly, they want to win the money and the U.S. Open prestige. Zhu and Werfele, former college teammates at Dartmouth College. Angela Zhu, the Callahan Award winner, the Heisman Trophy of Ultimate, known as the Callahan. Angela Zhu was a Callahan winner in 2017. Juliana Werfele with the disc, a top 5 Callahan finisher this past year.
Well, this Dartmouth pipeline has been so instrumental in the growth and resurgence of the Boston Brute Squad Club Ultimate team. Excited to see these contributors assume bigger and bigger roles for Brute Squad in the years to come.
Angela Zhu completely unmarked, no one counting a stall until Finney got close to her. Got to be within 10 feet of the person with the disc to start counting. Pretty good downfield spacing here, creating open side lanes and break side lanes for the throwers to look. Murphy up the line, finding Angela Zhu for the Boston score. That's a break. We're tied 3-all, back on serve in the first half.
Well, there are so many different strategies when you are the dump defender guarding the reset. And when we say reset, we mean that handler closest to the disc who could catch that dump pass. And we see Finney guarding Zhu here just out of the frame. And you'll see as Zhu goes up line, Finney is not looking at the disc. She's looking at her downfield assignment, Angela Zhu. And sure, that can be great for body positioning, but it also exposes you to a risk. When you're not looking back at the disc, it's easier for the offense to just put a throw out to space with a defender unaware. And the receiver can finish and make that play.
Couple Amherst, Massachusetts products, Zhu and Murphy combined for the score. Murphy played her college ultimate down in Atlanta at Emory University. Played mixed ultimate with Atlanta's Bucket, and then a couple seasons with the women's team Ozone. Now Murphy in year number 5 on Brute Squad. We're tied 3-3, really clean first 6 points of this game, Ian. Only 1 turnover per side. Both teams capitalizing on it immediately with 1 break apiece.
Yeah, I think we're fortunate to have calmer weather conditions than we had earlier in the day. Some of the games we had in this morning and this afternoon were dealing with wind gusts of 15, 20 miles an hour, and things have really evened out and calmed down this evening.
Gaining yards on the reset to Snyder in power position to the end zone, just out of the reach of the lunging Kayla Helton.
Well, Snyder's made this connection to Helton dozens and hundreds of times before in their career. Such stalwarts for the Fury program. Helton just unable to reel that one in.
Spent the last 9 years as teammates. There's a pick downfield. The disc will go back.
What's your count?
To the end zone.
What's your count? Thank you.
The observers help to move things along. Douglas initiates for Cohen. Cohen has a cannon. Rifle short to O'Connell, and now it's Cassie Wong. There's the cannon, firing deep. It's over the defense. 2 Brute Squad receivers there. Hauled in near the end zone by Verhallen. And Brute Squad, have they taken the lead? Seems to be an injury. No signal yet for a goal. Caitlin Lee made the catch. They're signaling goal, and Meady Chang gripping her right shoulder. So Boston breaks on back-to-back points. Brute, after trailing 3-1, leads 4-3. We'll check on Meady Chang. of San Francisco Fury when we return. Not a sight you ever want to see. San Francisco Fury's Meaty Chang getting carried off the field, grabbing her right shoulder. Tennessee native, started playing Ultimate at Michigan Flywheel, shaken up on this sequence. Chang trying to stay with Lee after the great catch by Verhaelen. And a hard landing.
And it looked like as she laid out to try and stop that break side throw from being completed, perhaps she overextended her arm out of her shoulder socket. You could see that happen right away on impact as soon as she touched the ground.
So Boston gets the score. Caitlin Lee from Courtney Verhaelen after the huck from Shelly Cohen. And that's 3 goals in a row for Brute Squad after the slow start. Werfele on the pull. Johnson initiates for Finney and a big gainer to Griffith. Off the fingertips of a couple Fury handlers. Neither Finney nor Snyder could come up with it. Angela Zhu picked it up, ready to fire deep, but she holsters and gets in a better position.
Pick called downfield here. Reminder that the offense can't set picks when defenders are within 10 feet of their assignments.
Swinging it over, Werfele down to Groom. Brute Squad D-line trying to stay perfect on break opportunities. They're 2 for 2 so far. And this has been the strength of this Boston women's team for a long time. They've had a serviceable to very good to occasionally great O-line. The defense has been consistently spectacular through the championship years, 2015, 2016, even last year when they fell short by the slimmest of margins.
And we talk about their performance so far in this tournament. That gutsy victory that they had in the semifinal over Molly Brown, that was on the strength of their defensive pressure, frustrating the Molly Brown handlers, and the D-line offense's efficiency after the turnover.
Boston beating the Denver women's team 15-13 this morning. Another pick downfield. Rudin catches up to Groom, right side of the end zone.
On you guys.
The cutters downfield forming what's known as a stack, trying to create space for their teammates to cut into. Near the sidelines, Groom another toe tap catch to maintain possession for Brute Squad. Cami Groom threw a slew of scores this morning. There's Griffith bidding on Murphy. Griffith is one of those players who typically can lay out, hit the ground hard, and then pop back up with even more energy than she had when she left her feet initially.
And this Brute Squad vert stack is getting a little deep. They're kind of stranding the handlers. You typically want the front of that vertical stack to be 10 or so yards away, but a miscue there from Angela Zhu, usually a rock for this Boston D-line offense.
Their face covered in the rubber pellets of the turf. Alex Snyder initiates for Fury. Johnson to Rudin. Griffith takes off deep, and instead they go underneath to the leaping Cooper. Now Griffith back underneath. Bethany Kaler. Low throw off Snyder's hand. There was contact. Was there a foul? It appears it's an uncontested foul on Nicole Canning. Snyder wearing some of those field pellets as well. Low throw, kept alive. What a grab. That's Lisa Cooper for Fury. We're seeing some tremendous playmaking in the first half of this women's final.
Well, just a tough miscue there. The Boston D-line offense, such a golden opportunity to convert another break. Cami Groom putting that disc behind Angela Zhu, and then Lisa Cooper Trooper, the North Carolina product, stabbing this disc less than 2 inches from the turf. Again, a disc is down as soon as it hits a blade of grass, but
thankfully this is not a natural grass surface, because there might have been one blade that the mower missed, and that could have been down because of it.
You're absolutely right, and we saw the Fury offense, after they earned the disc back, exercising great patience. There were a couple of deep or mid-range opportunities that they certainly sized up, but they threw that pump fake, and by doing that, you get the defense to bite on the deep look and open up those underneath gainers that Griffith and others were able to eat up all the way down the field.
And Boston has to respect that deep look, because Fury connected the first 3 scores of the game.
Their throwers are feeling it so far, and that's a strategic adjustment that the coaches and the leaders of these teams are talking about on the sidelines. Am I positioning myself underneath the receiver to bait the deep shot? Am I backing them to always stand between them and the end zone? Those are the kinds of decisions that the coaches are talking about and tweaking between points.
After the big pull from Marissa Mee, Brute Squad back on the offensive side, going right to left. That one too far in front of Tajima, spiked down by Opie Payne.
Yes, one!
Mead around the active mark of Schwam, connects with Amel Awadel Kareem. And here's Payne. Underneath to Austin.
Sure, if you think you said 6. Yeah, I said 6.
Okay, so timeout starts now. Timeout on 6.
It'll be Fury's disc about 10-15 yards from the goal line in a 4-4 game. Well, last night during the semifinals, there was an extravaganza here at the National Sports Center. The gum ball, the girls' ultimate movement. And check out the faces. You see Molly Brown's Jessie Schaffner, Manuela Cardenas, and some of the future stars of Ultimate. They were having a blast watching the men's semifinals and getting to know some of the great standouts of the game. It was pretty cool to see some of the pictures, and it was a tent that was totally overflowing. They had to turn people away. Next year, I imagine we'll get a bigger tent.
Well, what an opportunity that all of these young players have here competing at the U.S. Open. Of course, there's the Youth Club Championship division and the International Club Championship division here at USA Ultimate's 2018 U.S. Open. And just a great opportunity for a lot of these young players to see the stars up close, get to know them, ask questions about how to get better and get more involved. And at the same time, there are so many club players that are giving back to the community, coaching some of these players and giving them the same opportunities they were afforded as youth.
Claudia Tajima, currently a coach of the Tufts University men's team. She played for the Tufts women's team, matriculating through college. Austin, marked by Grignon Tomas. The stall count was high. Up the line, Awadel Kareem rips it away for Fury. And that's a break to bring us back on serve at 5-4 in the first half.
But we look and we see this swing just a bit out of reach for Claudia Tajima. And then after the turnover, Awadel Kareem is always going to be attacking that space. She's a fiery, aggressive, speedy, agile handler. She won a gold medal with the women's U24 team in Perth earlier this year. just joining Fury after time on the East Coast with Scandal, and what a pickup for this San Francisco squad.
24 years old, originally from State College, Pennsylvania. She played at Penn State. And Austin, who had the goal earlier, picks up the assist.
And you'll see Awad Al-Karim staying out here for this point. And this is the subbing strategy and line calling strategy that San Francisco Fury likes to employ. They don't always follow it to a T, but more often than not, you will see entire lines or groups of players, handlers and cutters grouped together, playing 2 points in a row. And that differs from the popular strategy around the rest of the division of traditionally separating players into your O-line, your offensive players, and your D-line defensive specialists.
I think these two programs, Boston and San Francisco, couldn't be more different in the way they go about their line calling strategy. Brute Squad very early in their season delineates O-lines and D-lines, and you very rarely see anyone else cross over. If anything, Brute Squad very comfortable putting their, quote, D-line out on offense if the O-line gets broken. But you're right, Fury often plays some of their top players 2-3 points in a row, regardless of O or D. And I'm not sure which is the better strategy. Both have led to championships. Sinecrope downfield for Schwam. That's over the outstretched arms of Granuloma, intercepted by Drea Romano. Nazaroff fires it in for Kaler. This is Awad Al-Karim. A Mel throw to the sidelines. What a bid by Amber Sinecrope. She's been doing that forever.
Well, there's a reason you put some of your best defenders on your offensive unit. You need them to get the disc back after you've turned it over. And Sinecrope, the world champion, experienced leader of this team, getting a huge block.
Disc goes up to the end zone where it is incomplete, intended for Granuloma. Three turnovers on the point. We'd only had 6 total turnovers in the game's first 9 points. And now the back and forth begins. Boston with good field position. Tajima taking her time to pick it up. Nazaroff will set the mark. Sinecrope to Hoffman to Schwam. Took some time, but they're able to hold.
And again, surprise, surprise, what works when you're in the red zone? Dumping and swinging and changing that angle so that the defense has to recover and work incredibly hard to reestablish which way of the field it's forcing throwers to attack. And as Brute Squad continued to break the mark, continued to move the disc, the defense was just further and further out of position. Nice job by the Boston offense in the red zone.
Alana Schwam with the goal, and Leanne Hoffman, one of the stars of Team USA, picks up the assist. Leanne, half Vietnamese, half American. Her mom came to America from Vietnam when she was 12. Leanne grew up in Golden, Colorado, went to college outside of Chicago at Northwestern, where she found Ultimate and very quickly became an incredible player. She started playing in high school, of course. Played at the Youth Club Championships about 10 years ago right here at the National Sports Center in Minnesota. Her high school coach was coaching Denver's Molly Brown team earlier today, Carolyn Matthews.
Well, what an example for all of the Youth Club Championships players competing here. You stick with it long enough, you stay committed, you can be under the lights in just a few years.
This is Cree Howard trying to get it to Rudin, but tremendous defensive pressure put on from Cassie Wong, denying Rudin the easy catch.
And that's exactly what Wong is known for. Downfield defensive pressure like no other.
That'll work through the tight crevice of space. Caitlin Lee hauls it in from Nicole Canning. We've got a good game here in the women's final. Brute Squad 6, Fury 5 in the first half. Back-to-back goals from Boston Brute Squad, taking a 6-5 lead over Fury. The pressure from Cassie Wong defensively, leading to Nicole Canning continuing her strong performance on the Brute Squad D-line.
Yeah, she's been a great surprise and great addition to this Brute Squad roster. She's long been a fixture in the Boston Ultimate scene, contributing to the next tier women's team, Siege. Her first year on the team now, making an impact.
They've been trying to get her for a while. She finally made the commitment to join Brute Squad, and they are very happy to have her. Important point here for Fury. The San Francisco O-line's been broken twice. 3 times, as a matter of fact. And there's a bobble and a drop by Anna Nazaroff. You hardly ever see that. Chelsea Murphy with a casual one-handed snag. Cami Groom has owned this near sideline so far in this half. Nice defense by Alex Snyder, denying the reset to Cohen, but instead it's Caitlin Lee finding Murphy to Groom. Cohen swings the disc. Well done to Lee. And Cami Groom uses her speed to race past her defender for the Brute Squad score. Zoom, zoom.
Evan, we were talking about the strength of this Boston team and how much they love the strength of their D-line offense. It's almost as if they would prefer to start every point on defense if they could, because their defense is just that powerful, and that D-line offense is just so ruthless and clinical after the turnover. You know, more often than not, when teams are doing the disc flip at the beginning of the game, trying to figure out, you know, hey, who's going to start receiving on offense to start the game, or who's going to receive coming out of halftime, you're always thinking about it from the offensive perspective. How can I put my offense in the best position? And Brute Squad's defense is one that they don't care where they start, even if that means that their defense has to dig themselves out of a hole.
4 of 5 on break chances. There's the ruthlessness in statistical fashion. Cami Groom, the last goal scorer out of Washington University in St. Louis. She's been playing for Boston Brute Squad for quite a few years, winning championships. She's not just one of the best ultimate players in the country, she's getting ready to start law school at University of Michigan in the fall. Nazaroff to Griffith. And overshooting Finney, Zoo intercepts. Boston could take it to half here. Halftime arrives when the leading team gets to 8. Zoo with the stall count rising, shoots it deep. Sophia Hulbert denied by Fury's defensive star, Bree Howard.
Well, I think that's a smart decision by Zoo. Rather than turning the disc over at midfield with a simple handler reset, get the disc as far away from her own goal line as possible, give a downfield receiver a chance at scoring a goal. Wise decision there.
Fury isolates the lane for Griffith to come across to Kaler. So many of Fury's stars on this line: Snyder, Nazaroff, Howard, Finney, and Griffith. Finney shooting it deep, looking for Cooper, and Werfele comes up with a block.
Well, that throw had to go over and through so much traffic. You saw Cassie Wong sizing it up for just a second. Wasn't sure if she was going to try and jump as she was backpedaling, but Werfele makes up the ground and gets there before Cooper can get her hands on it.
To Wong. She launches. Hulbert adjusts and comes back to it. Werfele near the sideline. Swings it to her former college teammate Angela Zhu. And now Cassie Wong. Talked earlier about Granuloma commuting to Boston for practice from Montreal. Wong's trek from New York is almost as long on a regular basis. Brute Squad takes half. Relentless D-line offense. Brute Squad with 5 breaks in the half. And it's 8-5. And they'll receive to start the second half too.
Well, Fury's got to be surprised by the turnovers that have been plaguing them. So many of them have been simple bobbles or miscommunications. They're going to need to clean things up going into the second half.
We're joined by Ariel Jackson, the coach of Boston Brute Squad, down on the sideline. You fell behind 2-0. You closed the half on an 8-3 run. What were the keys to getting going?
I mean, I think our defense has been there for the most part from the start, and we just had to clean up some things offensively. And so we did that. Still not perfect, but we're moving in the right direction. Our offense is looking good at the end of that half.
Nicole Canning has had a breakout weekend for your team, frustrating some of the best handlers in the division. What's the secret to her success defensively?
Footwork and passion.
There's a lot of talk about Fury's new players like Serge Griffith and Awadel Kareem. But aside from Canning, you also have Jessie Grignon-Thomas, who has given your O-line a different level of force. What has she meant to the team? And what's it like to welcome her to practice when she commutes 5 hours each weekend to join you guys in Boston?
Yeah, that's 5 hours each way, so it's a 10-hour round trip. So, nobody on this team is questioning her commitment. She drives, it's great. It's great having her there, having her all weekend. She's, you can put the disc out to space and know she's going to take the right angle, body out her defender, and go get a tough catch, and we've seen that today.
Obviously, this is a championship caliber opponent you are playing. What will you stress to your team at the half here to focus on closing this out?
Game's not in hand. We can't let up. We got to keep our foot on the gas defensively, playing smart defense and tight defense, and keep the offense, keep that just moving quickly. That's where it looks good.
Sounds like a plan. Ariel, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
Best of luck in the second half. Brute Squad with a dominant run. 8-3 to take half over the defending national champions here in the U.S. Open Championship game. Great crowd of Ultimate fans on hand here at the U.S. Open Championships in Blaine, Minnesota. We're joined by Fury's Katie Ryan. And Katie, a great start for your team. You jump out 2-0, and then Brute Squad threw a counterpunch. What happened to your team in that sequence late in the first half?
It was just offensive execution errors, and I think we can really come back from that. We're really proud of the D we've been playing, so we're confident in our ability to get breaks. So we've just got to focus on playing hard D, playing close D, and then the second half not making those same execution errors on O.
Katie, the rivalry between Brute Squad and Fury has been intensifying over the course of the last year. The national championship game, the World Club Championship quarterfinal. Can you talk about the level of respect and competition that exists between these two programs?
It's absolutely amazing. This is a matchup we always look forward to. We always know it's going to be a battle on both ends. I think the last two matchups actually going into half, the score has been exactly the same, and it's come out with 2 different results. So we're going to see what happens this time.
We'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about the addition of Sarah Griffith. She was your competitor with Seattle for such a long time. What's it been like adding her into the mix? It seems like she's fit in pretty good.
She's fit in perfectly. A lot of our teammates have already played with her on national teams and other teams, and so we knew that she was going to be an amazing teammate coming in, and she's totally lived up to that. She's great on the field, she's great off the field, and we just totally love having her on the team.
Last thing as we get set for the start of the second half, what will you and other team leaders be stressing in the huddle to try to get this deficit back?
Just not thinking about that deficit, playing close, tight D, getting those breaks, and then on offense, playing loose, playing fast, playing with tempo. We think if we play that way, we can continue to break through and score those points.
Katie Ryan, thank you so much for the time. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Fury in front, 2-0 at the start before Brute Squad sees control That was a great grab by Lisa Cooper in the end zone. Amel Awadel Kareem gave the Fury squad a 5-4 lead, but Boston Brute squad would close the half in with 4 straight goals. The defensive line reacting without mercy.
Yeah, just clinical after the turnover, just relying on their fundamentals, keeping that disciplined vertical stack, swinging the disc horizontally to open up those opportunities downfield.
You can just tell both these teams are really well coached. They space well, they have very solid discipline most of the time, and it's about execution. And in that first half, Boston was the better team in terms of executing, especially after a turnover. But as we've seen in this rivalry, things can change very quickly. It's 8-5 Boston at the half, trying to spring the upset here at the US Open. Quick look at the first half scoring summary. Very balanced from both teams, showcasing their respective depth. 2 goals for Caitlin Lee, leading Boston Brute squad, but how about 8 different players with an assist? Fury with 5 goals, scored by 5 different players, distributed by 5 different players. It's 8-5 Boston, and the second half is coming up next. Welcome back to the championship game in the women's division of the 2018 US Open Ultimate Championships, the first leg of USA Ultimate's Triple Crown Tour. And it's going to be an uphill climb for the San Francisco Fury, but they're used to uphill climbs in the Bay Area. And there's no question they could come back with the talent they have. Octavia Payne launches the first pull of the second half with her team trailing by 3. Only 15 total turnovers in the first half, 6 from Brute Squad, 9 from Fury. First half began with turnover-free points for the first 5 in the opening half.
And a matchup of 2 Team USA teammates there. Carolyn Finney marking up on Leanne Hoffman. The downfield speedster earning that under and resetting the disc.
We saw Brute Squad huck the disc plenty this morning in the semifinals, but they've been much more clinical, working it down the field. All 8 of their goals have come from within the red zone. They're 8 of 10 in red zone opportunities so far. Tajima marked by Payne. Trying to rock her on the mark, opens up the space for Emerson. Squeezes it through to Sinacrope. Good defense by Helton on Malinowski. So the swing to Tajima. Sinacrope, break side. Oh, Malinowski had Hoffman wide open and looked for the reset. Sinacrope will convert to Grignon Thomas. A Brute Squad hold, largest lead yet for Boston.
Well, again, Brute Squad was trapped on that flick near sideline for a little bit, but the more opportunities opened up as they continued to swing the disc across and change that point of attack, opening up break side throwing windows for Sinacrope. And if Malinowski, as you mentioned, Evan, hadn't been so focused on resetting the disc to Sinacrope, Malinowski could have continued that right into the end zone and found Hoffman at that front corner.
First goal of the final for Grignon Thomas. And Amber Sinacrope becomes the 9th member of this Boston team to throw an assist in the final. The team leader in goals thrown in the tournament. See Lauren Sadler, another standout defender for this Boston team, not playing this weekend. Got her arm in that sling. She told me she considered playing despite the fact she's got the arm in the sling. But realizing there's important ultimate ahead, Labor Day weekend, And obviously the series, regionals, and nationals. Wait until she's 100%. That one ripped deep over Griffith, intercepted by Wong. To Zhu. Even Angela Zhu, Ian, who's known for not wasting much time to launch it downfield, she's been very patient in this final. Groom shooting it to the end zone. Canning is there. Canning's emergence continues, and Boston begins the second half with a hold and a break. Brute Squad doubling up Fury 10-5. Back at the National Sports Center, Boston leading San Francisco 10-5. Brute Squad currently on a 6-0 run.
Well, the Fury offense just isn't on the same page from handler to cutter core. And Boston Brute Squad's defense has been executing after the turnover with the kind of efficiency that wins you championships. They are 6 for 8 on break opportunities so far in this game.
Pretty amazing. 10 goals scored, thrown by 10 different players. Nicole Canning has one of those assists and caught the last goal. Schwam, Tajima, Murphy, Verhallen, Hoffman, Canning, Lee, Werfele, Sinacrope, and Groom. The 10 different assisters so far for Brute Squad. Fury looking for 1 point back in a hurry, and they've got it. Nice grab by Clancy in the end zone, and a quick counter to squelch the 6-0 run.
Well, Bethany Kaler, the Oregon product, known as a hybrid offensive threat. She can start in the handling core. She can also start downfield, and you see how dangerous she is with the disc in her hands. That deep shot just towering over the defense. Down that break side lane, a slightly unorthodox angle going into the receiver, but Dara Clancy able to reel that one in, involved in her second goal of this game for Fury.
Dara Clancy from Petaluma, California. She's been playing Ultimate since 2004. Been on Fury since 2009. A veteran of this team, and Beth Kaler, champion at the University of Oregon. Played on a whole slew of USA youth national teams, U20 in 2010, U23 in 2013, U23 again in 2015. You know you're good if you make a U23 team, and then 2 years later you have a chance to make it again, because you haven't aged out yet.
You haven't used up all your potential and kept growing as a player.
Like, you were a good player, but how old were you when you made the U23 team?
Oh, I was as old as you could be, 23.
Shot deep, intercepted. Austin has the disc, quickly to Payne. I'm not saying you weren't a great player. You won a gold medal representing the United States. It's tremendous stuff.
Oh, but
you didn't make the U23 team when you were 19.
No, you're absolutely right. And if I had tried out for that team at 19, I probably wouldn't have even had the opportunity to try out. I wasn't at that level yet in my career. Definitely benefited from the timing and my own age.
Awadel Kareem rifles it downfield for Austin. She's got Griffith running across, but Malinowski denied the easy look. Brute Squad making these last couple yards so difficult, and the reset to Reed lands incomplete.
And we've seen these goal line stands more than once before from Brute Squad, whether that be their O-line playing defense or their D-line playing defense. The pressure, the frustration on the resets, making it so difficult for their opponents to convert in the red zone.
That one just out of the reach of the bidding Alex Odie. college teammates, of course, with Bethany Kaler at the University of Oregon. Pick downfield, stops play. Brood Squad has made a couple mistakes here to open the door for Fury.
Come on 6, on you guys.
And we know that San Francisco is a team that can string breaks together. How about the defense from Granuloma? And she's called for a foul, and she does not appear to contest.
So, foul called, strip, no contest is in your hands, coming in at 1.
Take a look.
On you guys.
Apparently Narayan claiming she had stopped rotation. Granuloma did not dispute that. If you stop rotation of the disc and establish possession, and then the disc is knocked out of your hands, that's a foul.
What's your stall count going to come back in on? 3, thank you. Your timeout begins now. Thank you. I didn't see the teeth.
Nazaroff takes the timeout with Fury 10 yards away from a break.
Well, San Francisco needs this break opportunity to reignite some life into their team in the second half.
Last 5 years, the US Open champs and then the national champs. Only once in the last 5 years did a US Open champ go on to win at nationals. That was 2 years ago, Boston Brute Squad. Of course, the women from Medellin, Colombia, Revolution, winning the US Open last year. Revolution finishing second at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Of course, the elephant in the room here at the US Open in 2018 is the absence of the reigning World Club Champions Seattle Riot. And that's a little strange not to have them here, number one. Number two, it's strange to have Sarah Griffith here playing with Fury.
That's right.
And number three, the winner of this game, I think, is the favorite among the non-Riot teams. But then you think about the fact that Riot, as good as they've been internationally, winning the last 2 World Club Championships, as Awadel Karim catches the score from Nazaroff. She's in, Fury's within 3. Seattle Riot hasn't won a national title since 2005. They've had the talent to win world championships, but they haven't won a national title. Brute Squad and Fury haven't won worlds, but they've won nationals. Handicap this situation in the race for me as we head toward the fall.
Well, A, it shows just how much parity there is in those top 4 contenders in the women's division in the United States scene. B, I think Riot does have to be the favorite because they prevailed not only over the top US competitors, but also the top international competitors, taking down Revolution in the final. If we're going through power rankings and handicapping things, I think a lot depends on the outcome of this game. Is Fury going to be able to come back and capture a signature comeback victory? Can Boston put them away and become the #1 seed going into the next tournament of the Triple Crown Tour? A lot depends on the outcome of this game.
And it's fair to ask the question, is Seattle Riot still the favorite without Sarah Surge Griffith, who has been arguably their MVP through the past 4 or 5 years, but that's not saying they don't have a ton of other talent with Jack Verjou and Claire Trope and Khalees Cardenas and Alyssa Weatherford and Gina Titcomb, and you could run off the whole roster. Anyway.
The Hall of Famer.
The Hall of Famer Dom Fontenette, still going in her early 40s and still making people half her age look silly. But they're not here. Brood Squad and Fury battling for a US Open title in 2018. Sinacrope resets to Tajima. Oh, Finney saw the poach but couldn't get there quickly enough. Malinowski capitalizes and finds Leanne Hoffman wide open in the upwind end zone.
Well, that's how quickly these elite players can make you pay for peeling off your assignment. Finney thought she had a shot at a poach block to a receiver that wasn't her own assignment, and as she leaves Hoffman, Hoffman recognizes, takes off to the end zone, And Malinowski, known more as a receiving threat than a prolific thrower, strikes while the iron was hot.
Austin tried to help, but it was far too late. The first score of the game for Brute Squad that didn't come from inside the red zone. Leanne Hoffman from Becky Malinowski. When you try to poach like that, leaving the person you're guarding to go for a block, you don't get it. How does that impact your mentality, trying to read the other team's offense the rest of the game? Does it make you more cautious?
It keeps you honest, right? That's kind of a gut check, a defensive heat check, so to speak, right? You think you're that close to getting there, but it's just a reminder of how honest you need to be when you're playing against competitors with this level of downfield speed and throwing prowess.
That felt like an important hold for the Boston O-line. Credit where credit is due. Brute Squad's offense has been very solid here at the US Open. Nazaroff pestered on the mark by Zhu. Slings it to the middle for Cooper. Oh, and just missed Johnson on the reset.
Again, that's not the first unforced error we've seen from this Fury offense. Brute Squad's been feasting on these break opportunities.
That was the 12th Fury turnover in the game. 8 of them have been unforced.
So are you guys gonna call anything here, or you're just gonna go with the pick?
So I called contact,
Yeah.
but I don't know what.
Sure, and did you drop the contact, or do you want to contest the contact?
Then we just stop.
Okay, so you would just want to come in on 6 with the pick, or do you want to do something different?
Well,
You called contact, so you can either contest it or drop. Yes, it does. Contact drops to 1. Okay, so you're contesting the contact. Would you like to have a contested contact, or would you like a ruling on that? Okay, my ruling is you were in her disc space. She made a pivoting. Yeah, come on. Thank you. All right, wonderful.
Nazaroff ready to move on. Angela Zhu with the disc.
Pick.
And another pick downfield.
What are you coming in on? Thank you.
This one resolved much quicker to Cohen. And another pick downfield. When you have multiple pick calls like this, what's that usually a byproduct of?
Poor spacing, poor discipline in the stack. I'm intrigued by the North Carolina Pleiades matchup here. Lisa Cooper marking Shelly Cohen.
Both played for the University of North Carolina women's team in their college careers. Nice throw. Cohen over Cooper's shoulder to Cami Groom for the score. And it's 12-7. That's a Boston break. And with a Boston break, we'll take a break. Brute Squad leads by 5, 3 goals away from a US Open title. A 12-7 lead for Boston Brute Squad, the 2 seed here at the US Open. Getting another break here. They're now 7 of 9 on break chances. And the 12th different Brute Squad player to throw an assist here in this first half was Shelly Cohen. Here in the game, I should say.
And the Brute Squad D-line offense has been so efficient once they get to the red zone too. When you tally up those scores and the scores of their traditional O-line performance in the red zone, 11 of 13.
They have been incredibly efficient, executing almost to perfection with the pressure on. There's contact, gonna be a foul. you would think, on Cami Groom. No contest.
Looks like it's uncontested. This will stay with Fury.
Lakshmi Narayan in her 10th season with Fury. Formerly played in Boston with the top women's club team that preceded Brute Squad, Lady Godiva. Great history of women's ultimate, both in Boston, Massachusetts, and San Francisco and California. Carolyn Finney rifles it to the end zone, connecting with Yelena Gorlin.
That's a nice smooth hold for the San Francisco offense. Again, this line wasn't called to be an offensive line. They're rotating through their groupings of personnel, and I'll be interested to see how much they stick to this 2 points in a row strategy with the game inching down to the final minutes. Again, we're playing to 15 here unless we get into an overtime situation, and Brute Squad just 3 goals away.
Overtime would be 14 all. It would require a combination of a Brute Squad collapse and an incredible Fury run for us to get there, but certainly not out of the question. So many of the players in the stands, youth club players from all around North America, coming to compete here in Minnesota. And side by side, they get to watch some of the current superstars of the sport. Brute Squad's O-line back on the field. Tajima, Hoffman, Sinacrope, Emerson, Alex Odie out there with Grignon Thomas and Alana Schwam. Oh, and there's just a little bobble and an error by Sinacrope, opening the door again for San Francisco Fury.
And that was such a tight window. She was crashing up against her receiver. I don't think she expected that kind of dishy reset to come her way, but Fury gives it right back.
Now Nazarov's throw too far ahead for the bidding Megan Liu, who got a piece of it with her fingertip, but Grignon Thomas easily intercepts. Leanne Hoffman with the disc. She's been on Brute Squad since 2014. She helped to take this program to a new level, winning the national title in 2015 and 2016. Fury prevented the three-peat last fall, winning by 1, and one of the most thrilling women's ultimate games we've ever seen. You can say that about each of the last 2 Brute Squad championship games. One against Seattle Riot, the other against San Francisco Fury, that both went down to the wire. Grignon Thomas. Up the line to Tajima. 13-8 Boston.
Well, they fought through some adversity there after the turnover, and then Fury with the opportunity to break. That disc just coming in too hot, a tad too far. Megan Liu did have a chance to make a play on it. And again, once Brute Squad gets to the red zone, sure, they've got to fight for it, but you might as well call it game over with how efficient they've been. Now 12 of 14 in the red zone this game.
And Grignon Thomas had not thrown a goal yet, so that's 13 scores, 13 different Brute Squad players to pick up an assist.
I think that speaks to the job that Ari Jackson has done in putting in place a system that doesn't rely too heavily on any one particular player, maximizes the strengths of contributors up and down the roster, and he's gotten his players to buy into their philosophies, both offensively and defensively.
Brute Squad formed back in 2002. They made nationals for the first time, and they're just their second year in 2003. They were seeded 16th out of 16 teams. They finished 13th. Made the run to quarterfinals in 2005, made the semis a couple of times. The next couple years, did not win a title though until 3 years ago. Bree Howard zips it to the end zone for Sarah Surge Griffith.
Some tight spaces there for the Fury offense. Cami Groom was shadowing Bree Howard all the way down the field. I think if she would have pulled the trigger there on that inside shot from Clancy, she might have been able to earn a block, but after Groom was unable to recover, an easy continuation into the end zone for the former Riot star Griffith.
So Fury's back within 4, but they need to get some breaks to win this game, Ian. And Boston's O-line has looked very, very steady. Not one player you can try to pick on to try to shut down, because as Brute has shown, anybody can beat you.
And I think I'd like to see some of the San Francisco defenders forcing their downfield assignments out towards the end zone. Not letting up underneath throws and daring those Boston throwers to go over the top and prove that they can complete huck after huck to sustain this strong offensive performance. And there's a flood play coming out of that side stack.
Looking to Malinowski, that's not going to come back in bounds.
Well, the Brute Squad offense made space for Grignon Thomas. All of the cutters clearing out of this near sideline, making space for Thomas to be the only one left here, but just missed execution there. That huck not coming back in bounds. So Nazarov's going to be able to start with Fury in great field position right near midfield.
Just the 10th turnover of the game from Brute Squad. Can Fury inch within 3? They either inch within 3 or they go on the brink of being eliminated, with Brute Squad getting within 1 goal of a championship. Octavia Payne downfield to the bidding Narayan. Narayan shoots it deep. No one was really going deep. In the end zone, it's cleared away by Alex Odie. Nothing really Yelena Gorlin could do.
I'm not sure what she was looking at, who she thought was going there. Got to be just a little more disciplined at this late stage of the game, that close to the end zone.
Sinnekrop lets it rip. Hoffman on her horse, and that will function like a punt. By the way, if you're wondering, if Brute Squad's going to score this game and give someone new an assist, it's going to have to be Alex Odie or Hannah Henkin who scores it, because everyone else on the field has one of the 13 assists. That disc almost caught by Gorlin, but off her fingertips. This matches the most turns we've had on any single point in this game, Ian. The point where Hoffman hit Schwam to tie it at 5. Back in the first half, had 4 turnovers. 2 turns aside per on this point at 13-9 in the second half. Game to 15. Oh, and Amel Awadel Karim absolutely rejects the dump attempt from Odie.
Well, as we said just a few moments ago, this is the time where Fury has to value the disc. They need to convert this break and narrow the margin. 4 minutes away from the soft cap.
Nazarov to the end zone looking for Narayan, and Hoffman is there defensively for Boston.
Well, that's the speed of Hoffman on display. She may have been giving up a step to Narayan as the disc went up, but she's more than capable of chasing that disc down, giving full extension, full effort to make sure Narayan can't make a play in the end zone.
You see the turnovers by half. Fury with a few too many to be close as Malinowski shoots it deep. It was missed by Payne and caught by Granuloma. How did Opie miss it?
That was coming in at such high speed and such a strange angle, and Malinowski the beneficiary of another strange completion.
Starting to feel like Boston's day, isn't it? Awadel Karim drops off on Malinowski, but to the open side, Sinacrope becomes the first player on Brute Squad to throw multiple assists in the game. It's the second goal for Jessie Grignon-Thomas, and it's 14-9 after a 6-turnover marathon point here in the second half.
Well, Malinowski's deep shot was not on point, and Opie Payne had to readjust, turn her body around after she had been chasing Grignon-Thomas. And it's so difficult to make those massive body control movements. She tried to swat the disc as quickly as she could, rather than just simply getting a hand on it. So tough to make those decisions at high speed.
Difference in the game, capitalizing on opportunities. One team is 7 for 9 on break chances, the other is 3 for 9. The O-lines have turned it over the same number of times. But as we've talked all game long, Boston's ruthless D-line efficiency, the difference, and they'll try to close it out here on defense, leading by 5 in this US Open final. Juliana Werfele to pull. Werfele marking Snyder. Kaler for Rudin. Looking deep. Howard the target. And she's got it. Oh, it looked like O'Connell was right there defensively. But Howard delivers the goods. And now Fury's going to need one heck of a string of breaks to get back in this game.
Well, Howard's another iconic face of this Fury program who's had to fight back from serious injury earlier in the decade, and she's returning to form just in time for this Fury squad. Great job boxing out right against the goal line. That was awfully close to a bobble. And again, if she didn't have full possession before she stepped out of bounds, that could have been ruled an incompletion, but she got control of that just in time while that left foot was still on the ground inbounds. And again, you only need 1 foot down inbounds here in Ultimate for it to be a completion.
Yeah, it was close, but I think it was the right call. The do or die time for Fury. San Francisco has played the last 3-0 points, turnover free. They just haven't been able to convert on defense. The soft cap horn just went on, but it will likely not be a factor. Boston Brute Squad could win it right here with Tajima. She had Hoffman going deep on Finney. Oh, Sinnerkrope laying out to keep possession alive and rifling deep to Alana Schwam. Nazarov chasing, and it's incomplete. Brute Squad with a chance to close it out. Fury still clinging to life.
Well, Nazarov providing just enough pressure to throw Schwam off. I'm not sure if she got a hand on that one.
Now Ryan bobbles but keeps it alive. And here's Payne underneath. Awadel Karim to Finney.
And again, Fury is working here in the upwind condition. The disc is blowing on your screen. The wind is blowing on your screen from right to left.
Granuloma comes up with another layout block for Brute Squad.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's Brute Squad's traditional D-line, and that's an uncharacteristic error from Sinnerkrope, turfing that throw off the line.
Right into the ground, then contested Finney. Oh, thank goodness she's okay. Hoffman precariously hit her in the back of the leg. The swing to Nazarov. Helton to the end zone. Bobbled and caught. It was Claire McKeever. Is everybody all right? Oh yeah. It's a Fury score and a break, and San Francisco still has life.
You saw McKeever mouthing to her teammates, "Was I in?" She had no idea after she was fighting for the disc against the sideline. What body control.
And landing on her defender.
McKeever's been making a name for herself on the elite women's club circuit.
Poor JoJo Emerson.
Yeah, she was there to make the play, but nowhere else for McKeever to land after she committed to trying to make that grab.
Okay, 14-11.
McKeever, one of multiple players on this Fury roster who has experience with Denver's Molly Brown. Another one of those top 4 teams that Boston Brute Squad took down in the semifinals.
I think right now, there's a pretty clear top 3. Molly Brown's a pretty clear number 4, and I'm not sure who number 5 is. This weekend it was DC Scandal, Atlanta Ozone in that conversation. Kayla Helton picks up the assist. Claire McKeever did most of the work to haul this one in near the sidelines. If Fury can get back in it and tie it at 14, the game would become a game to 16. But at the moment, any Boston goal and it's over. And many of the Fury stars staying out there. Check out this line with Austin, Nat. Well, check out the Boston line first. Tajima, Hoffman, Cami Groom crossing over on offense. You don't see that very often with Granuloma, Emerson, Sinnerkrope, and Malinowski. Countering the other way, Austin, Nazarov, Lou, Awadel Karim, Finney, Griffith, and Payne with a pull.
And this Boston offense working into the wind on this critical hold.
There's a pit downfield. like she's done most of the game. Opie Payne marking Claudia Tajima. It's Nazaroff on Sinacrope. Lou on Emerson. Finney chasing Groom. Awadel Karim has the Grignon Tomas challenge. Austin denied Malinowski the in-cut, but Hoffman gets open on Griffith. And now to Groom. You can feel Boston's sense of urgency bringing Groom onto this O-line where she very rarely plays with this group.
Look at how tight this downfield defense is. Sarah Griffith following Leanne Hoffman so close all the way underneath on the break side.
Grignon Thomas was wide open, but the mark of Finney didn't allow Groom to get it there. The swing to Malinowski. And here's Hoffman. This is the 7th game of the weekend for both these teams. They each competed in a semifinal this morning. How much does Fury have left in the tank? Can Brute Squad focus on closing it out in the red zone right here? Tajima has it denied by Nazaroff. Fury holds defensively for the moment.
Well, that window was shrinking and shrinking. A same third throw going further away towards the sideline than the thrower initially started. That's such a tight window. Surprising, and another surprise, a turf from Awadel Karim after the break opportunity.
The first year Fury with a critical error, giving Brute Squad the disc on the goal line. Tajima looking for Groom. And Cammie, was she in? They rule her inbounds, and that'll do it. Groom scores the game winner, and Boston Brute Squad is your 2018 US Open Ultimate Champion. By an inch on that last goal was she inbounds. It's their second US Open title. They won it a few years back. That's the only time in the last 5 years that the US Open winner went on to win the national title. As we see the turn from Awadel Karim, just too low for Lou. And then let's check out Groom. Was she in bounds?
Goodness, I think the left half of her body was in bounds while the right half of her body, her hips were still up. And how lucky is Claudia Tajima, because you could tell Cammie Groom was double cutting and not committed to going to that cone. And Groom's reaction, her speed in those small spaces, bailing out the Brute Squad offense in the red zone.
And I think Bill Bourret, the observer near that front pylon, got it right. Cammie Groom catches the game winner. Really well played women's final here at the US Open, and Boston Brute Squad